Hello, I'm Irina Baker, spiritual awareness mentor, and today I'm going to talk about 3 steps how to stop judging yourself and others, and how even to notice that you're judging yourself and others. And I'm going to mention the new movie Shack that came out recently, and in fact, it impressed me with the spiritual message and the spiritual meaning in the movie. So first, I would like to mention that last year I got a divine idea, divine guidance to host and to organize and host my mega video summit, Fear Busters. And I got very excited because I didn't think about it. I didn't know that I didn't plan to do it, but I knew if divine speaks to me, when divine speaks to me and tells me to do something, I'm doing it. And so I set to work happily. I spent 3 months. I had to organize everything. I had to find and invite people, experts, and I had to interview 23 people. So it took a lot of time, a lot of efforts. I had to write a marketing copy. I had to invite people. So as if you are an entrepreneur, you know exactly what I had to go through in order to pull it off and create a big mega summit. And the summit was free, completely free, and it ran for a whole month. So that was my idea of sharing my knowledge, sharing other people's knowledge, and giving it to people for free to enjoy and to help with money fears. As we know, many people have them. And finally, the summit was on, and luckily or fortunately, I got an email. It was a very good thing. I got an email when the summit started, and it was a person who sent her blessing. So she said, "Hello, dear Irina," and she gave me her blessing. So that was so pleasant, and I felt encouraged, uplifted, and I knew it was the right thing to do. However, also in a public comment section during that summit, on the very first day, maybe first or second day, I don't remember exactly, but it was at the beginning of the summit, there was a comment. It was the very first comment of all comments, and it was judgmental. This comment was about, this person said, or actually wrote that if she only watched 1 or 2 interviews at the most, as I understand it, because the comments show up very fast, and she was saying, condemning the summit and saying that it's below her spiritual level, whatever that means, below the spiritual level, and if all the interviews are the same, she's not going to waste her time watching them. And we had to let her know, she demanded to let her know if the all interviews would be the same. Well, first of all, how do you know what interviews are? I mean, if interviews are different, because experts are different. But of course, how I answered, I thanked this person for the comment, and I explained why we did it and how we did it. I talked about the story, that the story, each story is the point, because when people identify with the stories that others had gone through, then that could be, that's a teaching point in itself. Plus, we would give, each expert gave 3 practical steps to deal with money fears. Anyway, why am I saying all of this right now to you? Well, because this comment made me look at myself, because this was clearly very judgmental comment that came, and it hurt. And so I looked at myself. It was a perfect reminder to look at myself and say, okay, where am I in that judgmental department? Do I judge others? Do I judge myself? Because it hurt. So it came, first of all, that person took her time, precious time, to condemn the summit that she didn't need to pay for, she didn't need to work for. Somebody worked so hard, many people worked so hard. I also paid my own money to create the website and to have graphics for the summit to make it pretty. and I offered it for free, and the person takes her time to condemn it and to say how bad it is and it's below her spiritual level, and she doesn't want to be a part of it. So she took her time to do it. To me, that was an indication that she needed the summit, actually, because if you are on a spiritual level, whatever that is, you high spiritual level, you as you claim you are, then you wouldn't even think about taking your time to write something that bad, that condemning. But anyway, I want to turn it back to myself, because we always have to take responsibility for what our life is and for what we created. Obviously, I have attracted that comment to myself and to the summit. And so that's why I'm sharing this incident, because also the person, it's interesting how we don't, when we judge somebody, we never take into consideration what's on the other side, why that person is how it is, what we're judging. She didn't think that we had to work hard. She didn't think that we spent so much time. She didn't think about any of the working parts that came into organizing such a big mega summit. She just condemned because she didn't like the first or couple of interviews. And that's, I want to remind that don't judge so you won't be judged. Because I know from my long professional experience and my personal spiritual growth experience that actually when people judge others, that's usually the indication to the measure they judge others, they judge ourselves. So if I judge somebody, that means deep inside, this is just a mask, and deep inside, I'm actually judging myself. And because it's such a painful business to judge myself, then I will just show to myself that I'm judging others, because it will make me feel better. It will make me to get up somewhere above that person, because if I'm judging, that means I am better. I have the right to judge, and you are not up to par. So that's the judgment. And we have a perfected ability to judge. Perhaps we don't notice it. Nobody usually notices what we have inside, but it's true. And the a few days, I mean, a few weeks ago, I went to a movie, Shack. Maybe you heard of it, maybe not. And critics gave not very favorable reviews to this movie, but I can tell you, I do not care how the movie was made. To me, it was brilliant. Why? Because, and I watched it twice on the same day, because I was dealing with myself, releasing and crying and sobbing and getting realizations. So to me, it's a brilliant movie and I highly recommend it. So the main character of that movie, Mac Phillips, experiences a heavy trauma. It's such a tragedy I could not even imagine, because his 7-year-old daughter is murdered in the movie. And he, as an aftermath, he gets into a deep depression and has crisis of faith. And so luckily for him, and of course, luckily means deep inside, he wanted it, very deep inside in the subconscious mind. So, luckily for him, he got an invitation from the three amazing characters: God, him or herself, Holy Spirit, and Jesus Christ, to be present at the and spend a weekend with them. And so he had to overcome his resistance, he had to overcome his disbelief and make it to the appointment. So he did, and he's going through the journey. And that journey is very real, actually. Yes, it's shown in the movie in a short period of time, just 3 days, but these are the steps everybody has to take, actually, on the healing journey. And so, one of the steps that pertains to our conversation today is about judgment. So, at some point, Jesus Christ takes Mac to the cave or to some place, to some path. And he says, now you have to go there alone. I cannot go with you. So Mag, as a human, has to go into the cave. So he shows up at the cave and he sees a woman. And the woman introduces herself as wisdom. And she starts her lesson. She actually explains Mac what it is about judgment. So it was such brilliantly done. I was amazed because it was I always teach about that, but what a beautiful angle the explanation has taken. And so the wisdom, first of all, wisdom explains to Mac that he's habitual accuser, or everybody is. So he's one of the habitual accusers because we usually, if you think about it, we don't even notice it goes automatic. If you look at life, you look at people in the morning, you look at this person, somebody is too thin, somebody is too fat, somebody is too ugly, somebody is too pretty, somebody is this and somebody is that. So that's habitual judgment without even knowing that person, without not knowing all the life they lead and what struggles they go through. We automatically judge. And maybe right now, you most likely you're watching this movie, I mean video, and you're judging. Well, how do I look? How do I speak? What accent I have, and what information I'm giving you. So this is all judgment. And so Mac accepts step-by-step instructions, and in this moment, he is listening how he is actually the judge himself. So he thought God will judge him, but wisdom explains, no, 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 God doesn't judge. You are going to judge because you've been playing God all along. You've been judging everybody and everything. So now you are going to judge. And then that's the brilliant moment. That's why I actually created this blog article and the video. Wisdom conjures two images of Mac's children, the girl and the boy. Both of them are teenagers and they're standing in front of him in a very alive way. They're images, but they look alive. And wisdom tells Mac, and now you have to judge because they're both equally your children. One of them has to go to hell while the other is going to heaven. Now, how do you decide? You're the one to decide who is going to hell and who is going to heaven, who is going to suffer for eternity and who is going to be praised and pampered, so to speak, in heaven. And Mac has to stand there and choose between his own children, which whom he loves unconditionally, both equally, no matter what they've done, no matter who they are or how they disobey, because they're his children. So it's easy to understand, right? If you have several children, you would understand that you are at least supposed to, I don't know what your situation is, but you're supposed to love them both, to love all of your children equally and unconditionally. And wisdom explains this is how God is. God loves his children equally and unconditionally. So every single one is the same child of God. So if you think about it, the killer who killed Mac's daughter is also a child of God. And God loves that killer unconditionally. This is such a brilliant point for us to understand the judgment and the forgiveness later on. And so to me, it was amazing to watch how Mac was struggling with choosing which one to send anywhere. So finally, he gives the perfect answer: "Don't touch my children, take me." So that was his answer. Of course, nothing happened to the children. The images were gone, and wisdom made a brilliant point. Mac understood that this is not how God works. God doesn't judge because so and consequently, who are we to play God, who doesn't even judge? Who are we to play God in judging? Why? What right do we have to judge others? and including ourselves, because we are the worst self-critics as well. And we play God all day long. So that's why I started this video from that incident, that that woman took a role of God playing condemnation and playing the judges, giving the judgment of the whole thing she hasn't even watched. It's to me, it's a big example of what we do on a regular basis. And I don't say I'm not doing it, everybody does it, and we have to take responsibility. And so why, okay, I've explained the point, and now what can we do to really be aware of the judgment? So first of all, I want you to ask yourself, do you judge yourself and others? And are you judging right now while I'm doing this video? So if you're trying to rush with your answer, saying no, you might be not really honest with yourself, because as a human, we, and if we live, if you don't practice every day and you're very aware, then that's another story. But if you live your life in a normal way, like normal people do, most likely you've been judging like crazy without even understanding it. So my purpose here is not to judge that, but and I'm not judging that person as well, whom I talked to about at the beginning. My point here is to make us aware, make you aware of your behavior. As I was looking at myself, am I judging? Do I need to shape up and be on a different side? So the first step is become observant. And that's the first step we're doing here together. Become observant of yourself. Who are you to judge, right? So are you judging? Monitor your thoughts. And in fact, it's a good practice to write down in a small little notebook for a week how many judgments you made, even little ones that you would say, oh, that's nothing, that's little. No, it's still a judgment. So write them down. My clients usually do this exercise and they are shocked. A lot of them are shocked because they were not aware of what's happening and how it's happening. And the thinking a lot of time is automatic. And oh gosh, a lot of things go unnoticed. The second step is understand that when you judge others, it's a mask, because something triggers you when you judge others, and it's inside. Therefore, you judging yourself by judging others. In the measure, like I said before, in the measure you judge others, you actually judging yourself. So that's another big point, because it's a sin actually to judge ourselves. And number three, find a way to change your habitual behavior, because this is just a habit. This is just a habit out of ignorance or unawareness. And when you change your awareness, now it's a choice that you have to make, to either continue with how you continued or to change your habit. And I have a way how I change my habit, and it actually works for me very, and it's easy. So I hope that you will use this way, and it will help you as well, as it helped me and my clients. So it's a mantra. I like mantras because they are easy to use. It's easy to come up with, and they really work. So the mantra is, when I catch myself judging, you can fight with that. You can fight with your thoughts, because even more thoughts will come. But what you could do is you could notice, okay, oh, I've just said something judgmental or thought something judgmental about somebody or myself. And then the next thing is, so you notice, and then you say, who am I to judge? And that's the mantra. Who am I to judge? And if you don't fight, you're not judging yourself for judging, and you accepting your judgment, And you're just saying, you're correcting your behavior. Who am I to judge? When I do it, when my clients do it, immediately the relief comes, because immediately the judgment goes, relief comes in its place, and you feel lighter. Why? Because you just did something godly. You just did something that divine wants you to do. Stop judging. And you just corrected yourself. At the beginning, you might have to say it many, many times, but with practice, it will go less and less, and you will be in a very different place. Therefore, your life will be of higher quality. And there is a litmus test that you can perform all the time. That's another step. And this litmus test is this. A wise mystic once said that your words, and I would add, and thoughts as well, can only be used to heal, bless, and prosper. Imagine, to heal, bless, and prosper. And so when you say something or when you think something, you can ask yourself, did my words right now that I said or I'm going to say, do they heal, bless, or prosper? Or they judge, condemn, and curse? That's a test that you can perform, and that can help you also to change your habitual behavior. And this formula is an eye opener. Again, your words and your thoughts should only be used to heal, bless, and prosper. And of course, there is one more step that I reserved for the last moment. And the last is, you also, there is judgment inside. If you judge a lot or not a lot, depending, it's inside that there is a judgment. And so you need to go to your subconscious mind to find out the reason what you're judging in yourself, or why you're judging yourself. Usually it's a big reason from many past lives ago. And you need to remove the cause. You need to remove the cause of your judgment, of whatever it is you are not accepting in yourself. Of course, it's a journey. It doesn't happen overnight. Sometimes it does, most likely not. And of course, it's easier said than done. So if you would like to continue this conversation, but one-on-one with me personally, if you seriously have a problem, or at least you know that you have low self-value inside, low self-esteem, and your life is being affected in a severe way, I encourage you to schedule a awareness shifting discovery session with me. So go to radiantmastery.com, find the Discovery Session tab, and fill out the questionnaire. And if you're approved, we're going to talk, and we will find out whether we're a good match or working together on changing that for the much better. Because you don't need to walk in life with low self-value and self-esteem, self-worth, and your life does not need to be affected. And meanwhile, improve the quality of your life, but not judging, and instead turning your attention to the divine. Until we meet again, goodbye.